Hello and welcome to the 5th podcast for Evil Big Production. I am Jonathan Moore, the lead designer.
And I'm Megan Slay, the lead artist.
Natalie is in the background currently working, so you might hear her sometimes laughing. We've discussed this, and it'll be fine. This podcast will most likely be a short one, given that we're pretty much done with Primus Star at this point. I don't know if Megan has anything to add to that, because it's been a long process for her to be the only artist.
Oh, yeah.
She's getting over a sickness right now, so her voice is kind of out of it.
Yeah, I had the flu, and you might hear me, sniffle my nose. Hopefully I won't cough a lot or anything, but I thought I'd let you guys know that.
Well, you blew your nose before we recorded,
Yes,
so hopefully
we
that
did.
got rid of a lot of stuff.
Well, you don't know how fast. Let's not talk about that stuff.
I'm just glad that you started to get sick after Primus Star is
Yeah.
starting to get done. And by the way, Natalie, that is exactly what Natalie is working on right now. She's working on the enemies for Primus Star, getting all of them set up in the book.
Yeah, she's on the last chapter, finishing up the book. The art, basically, I finished that, and
You finished that, was it last month, or was it a month before that?
it was
this
technically last month, yeah.
Okay.
And I was really happy because then I got to work on other things that wasn't Primus Star. I was like, yes.
Yeah, she finally got to work on things that she wanted to work on besides work. But it's been a long process, though, especially since she was the only artist. Next time, we're hoping that we're going to actually get more artists in, because having only one, it took way too long.
Yeah,
and we
we
weren't
had to
able to do
cut-
all the things that we wanted to do.
Yeah, we had to cut a lot of art, which was really unfortunate. But if we had, maybe even... Well, we had, a few people pitch in and help a little. But if we had someone, with my skill level and the amount of work I put in,
Yeah,
a clone of me. Let's just say we cloned me.
if only.
If only. And that would have helped a great amount.
Yeah, it would have been amazing if we had just two people just like Megan
And
working.
we probably could have put a picture on, well, maybe not put a picture on every page, but almost every page.
Yeah, putting a picture on every page. How many pages are there, anyways?
So far, 120.
120.
All right, 120 pages in the book so far, and that's not even at the end yet.
And then there's, on some pages, there's multiple, pieces of art, especially in, the weapons and stuff section. And,
the items.
Yeah, the item section.
Yeah, equipment and things, because you got the backpack, the hand, biogel. It's funny that you drew that off the biogel.
Huh?
I still kind of laugh that you drew out the biogel.
I want to draw that.
I mean, I gave you your choice of whatever items you want to draw, so
Yeah.
It was just funny that you drew out the biogel, because it's not really that big of an item. But that is one thing that we're going to fix, hopefully, for future projects, is more artists. Because I need to go out and actually find more artists, though it is so difficult. I will say that every single time I try to get an artist, either A, they would work for a little bit and then they would go off and do some other thing, or B, they would say that they're already too busy.
Yeah.
And it was they were all way too flaky. The only person that wasn't flaky was Megan.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that she wasn't, because if I was the one doing the art, everything would be horrible.
Oh my gosh. I still remember I had you, because I was struggling with some of the art, and I'm just just draw something for me so I can have a reference, because it just helps me a lot when I can look at something all right, that's the base concept, and now I can make it better. And so I had him do the mech, because I had already drawn out the mech, but
the mech.
I absolutely hated how I drew the mech, because like I've said in other podcasts, I'm terrible at drawing technical art. And so he drew a mech, and then I redrew it basically and colored it and stuff. He also did the void demon. And I don't know how much of the original art or concept of the void demon that I kept.
I mean, you kept quite a bit. You kept the horns that I drew. I liked those horns. But everything else about the void demon was, you don't want to see it. I don't think anyone wants to see it. The only art that I'm actually kind of good at is if I draw something cartoony, or if I draw something that looks completely just disgusting and weird.
Oh, you did the the elder father.
That's the disgusting and weird.
Yeah.
I'm good with drawing long tendril-like things.
So the elder father, like I did the coloring and the line art, and like I took that and put it in Photoshop, but Jonathan did the original sketch for it. And the only thing I added to that when I put it in Photoshop, because he told me, he's like, there's a bunch of eyes all over it, and so I added eyes to it.
Yeah.
So when you see that in the book, that's like the only thing I changed.
Yeah, it was kind of a post, I guess, edit.
Decision.
Post-edit. Yeah, because I drew it and then I was like, oh, you know what would make it look better is if it had a whole bunch of eyes. It would make it look more like an Eldritch kind of H.P. Lovecraft thing. But that's enough on art for updating with Primus Star.
Well, I think another thing that would really helped if we had an editor, like an actual editor.
Natalie was talking to us about that before we started. Someone who would actually go throughout the book and just read, and say, oh, there's a spelling mistake here.
And like reword things, because I know she was going through the book and rewording some of the things that you put to make it sound better and easier to read.
You know, one of these days we should upload the
original
an original book and just see. It was like, yeah, look how far it's come.
Yeah,
because it's maybe we should do a upload the original chapter for races or classes. And just like, all right, yeah, since you've seen races and classes on Patreon, here's the original one. And yeah, you can see how horrible it is. Although the original doesn't have any art in it, so
yeah,
I mean, that's the main reason why it looks horrible.
We'll just put in the pictures I drew in college.
Oh my gosh!
Just shoddily Photoshop them in there.
I still remember the race lineup they did in college.
Yep.
I always remember that.
It's on Patreon.
I still thought it looked good whenever we were in college.
I didn't.
Because I wasn't really that good at drawing things like that. Like I said, I was cartoony, and
they were still cartoony.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, they were more realistic cartoony, I guess, is the word to say. I don't really much know how to describe it. But that's updating for the art and also for the editing but that doesn't really count into whenever we're creating computer games or video games, because we're not going to really need an editor to, I mean, I guess for dialogue, if there's dialogue.
Yeah, I still think we need an editor. Natalie was shaking her head like, yes, we do.
We'll just use Natalie to do that. We could always get, I know one of our friends, Zach, we could try and get him to.
Edit one chapter. That's all he would do.
Oh.
So he's also flaky.
Yeah.
He's also. I mean, I guess I can understand that from Zach, knowing him.
Everyone's flaky.
Every single person is flaky. That's okay then. Well, no matter. We just need to get more artists, and I guess get an editor for next time we're working on things. And the next thing that we're going to be working on is Feline Frontier.
Yeah.
And that's going to actually be a computer game. We talked a little bit about it in our last podcast. We have a programmer, so we're already good on that end.
We have a programmer. A lot of the stuff, like art, is already done. There's not really that many animations done. There's only like one set of animations. It was a wireframe too, so that's technically not even done yet.
It's not even done in the programming either.
Yeah.
I mean, it's whenever you fall down for the first time, you're stuck in an endless loop of the falling animation.
Yeah.
Even while you're moving. And it's not even whenever you move, it doesn't turn you around as the animation should. You're stuck
whatever direction you fell in.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, I don't even know if you can. Yeah, no, you're always stuck in looking to the, I think it was right in the game. You can never turn around to the left, which is, I mean, it's a side-scrolling game. I guess I should say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it would be kind of weird if it was a 3D game going around and you're always looking right.
We're not that experienced.
Yeah, we're not that experienced yet.
Yet.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Hopefully, whenever we actually have more artists.
Yeah.
And an editor, apparently. And hopefully with more programmers. Though the programmer thing, from what I've noticed, it's typically okay for small projects if you only have one programmer, because one thing I noticed with working with Taylor is that he does not like working with other programmers. He likes the program to be his own, and if there's someone else messing with the program, he gets kind of upset.
I thought, isn't that for a lot of programmers too?
I've only ever worked with Taylor, so I don't really know
Mm.
that much about how other programmers act. So I'll probably learn that as we go along and work on different things. So far from artists, I know that they're flaky.
Yeah.
And I know that they don't really like to work on things that they're told to work on. They just want to work on their own artwork.
Yeah.
And that can be kind of difficult to work with because a lot of the time whenever you want to inspire them to work on your thing, you just say, okay, well, just make it your own. And if you give them too much of their, I guess, freedom to work on your stuff, they turn the thing that you wanted them to work on into something completely different.
Yeah. That's not a good idea.
Yeah, like turning a soldier into a werewolf thing.
What?
That was way back in the day whenever we were working on that one.
Yeah.
Our first project that didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, that didn't go anywhere. I think I drew the character designs and then we're just like, you don't know how to animate at all. I didn't know how to do animation.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of know how to do animation now.
I took
A
animation
little bit.
classes. I didn't get really that far, but I think I have the basics with animation. I could do them.
Yeah. That's, I guess, another thing that we'll have to do is get an animator
Yeah.
on board. I mean, I guess that's kind of with the art.
Yeah.
More artists. That's one thing that we have learned. More artists.
Yeah.
Always more artists. You can't have, I guess you could probably have too many artists.
Yeah.
An entire company for video game development filled with artists.
Oh, jeez.
No one knows how to program.
Oh my gosh. That wouldn't get anywhere.
I mean, I guess if you're someone who's doing just tabletop role-playing games.
Oh, yeah, that'd probably be fine then. You don't need, we didn't need a programmer for this.
Yeah, not at all. We just need someone who knows how to make books and someone who knows how to write.
Instead of a programmer, we need an editor.
Yes. I guess that would be the switch around for
Yeah.
tabletop RPGs.
Yeah.
I'm not totally sure how that would work. Okay, then so I guess editor if you're working on books and then programmer if you're working on games. Interesting way of looking at it. More about Feline Frontier though. It's been a while since we worked on it.
Yes,
That's
it
one
has
thing.
been.
I mean,
We took a break from it.
yeah, we saw that Primus Star was starting to get some traction, so we took a break from working on Feline Frontier and we switched over to Primus Star. So before we worked on Primus Star, we were working on Feline Frontier.
Well, I mean, technically, you worked on Primus Star before Feline Frontier.
Technically, but that was more of a Primus Star was more of just like a, I guess, hobby thing.
Yeah.
Like it was a side project thing that I wasn't even gonna really incorporate that much into, and then people started to like it, even though it was horrible at that time. So I was just like, all right, well, I guess I'll, work on it more
I
and
think
edit
it's
it.
the rezzers. People like to be whatever they want to be as the rezzer.
Yeah, everyone liked being the Rezer.
I feel, even when people are just playing as the robots, a lot of people just seem to really like the idea of playing as the rezzer.
Yeah.
I feel like they were the most popular race.
Yeah, it was the Rezer, then it was the Ferdician.
Yeah.
Human was runner-up, though. A lot of people liked playing humans.
They like to be themselves.
Yeah. I still remember that one guy who was playing a human soldier because he himself was a soldier.
Yeah.
So it was just like, all right, I'm going to play as myself. I in fact think that he named himself.
Yeah, he
just basically made himself.
Yeah,
in
he
the
kept
game.
his name.
That was interesting. He never actually really played. He just made a character.
Mhm.
But
It was
still
good to have
interesting.
someone test out the character creation that, didn't know anything about the game.
Yeah, it was two people that did that. It was, technically two people that made their character and didn't play, but then there were other people that played and made their character. I still remember that, playing at that one game store.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty fun time. But then no one really showed up after.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played for maybe, I think, 3-4 sessions, then everything just sort of went away.
Life happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
life happens. It happens with a lot of other tabletop RPGs, or we get together like, yeah, we're gonna play this game, and then all of a sudden just like, oh, I have to do work, or I have to go out of town or something, stuff like that happens.
Yeah. I think that's actually another thing that I think I would change for next project is more people to test.
Yeah.
And I want to
Oh,
have
yeah.
tests constantly.
That's a good idea.
Like at
Yeah.
least one test I was about to say at least one test every week, but no, I think at least one test every day as we're creating things just to test
Well,
off.
we would have to. That's the testing group.
Yeah, I know, but we don't really have
Game
one.
testers.
What I would usually do is I would test it myself, and then I would have a few people that I know that are near me to test it as well. But that was usually kind of difficult because if I'm just testing it myself, then whoever's around me, who I know would test it, they've already tested it in the past now. So it's
Yeah.
just like, well, we already know what's going on.
Yeah. It's about time we did the shout out.
Yeah, I
Since
guess since we're
we're
doing a short
video,
podcast
yeah.
today.
Video.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a video.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I would call it a video podcast. But this podcast is going to be sponsored, I guess.
Sponsored.
I mean, they paid, so
Yeah.
technically. But for my father, Herschel Moore the second, thank you for donating the $20. And you've been donating $20 now for the past, I guess, ever since we started up our Patreon.
Yep.
Oh, except for the first month. I don't think he started. I don't think he was donating the first month.
Maybe not. I don't remember.
I'll have to look at it. I don't think he
For
was,
however
though.
long you've been donating, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for the $20. Every little bit helps. I mean, even $1 helps.
Yep.
I mean,
Especially when stuff like my laptop dies.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that would.
I'm
really
so glad
helped.
we were able to back all that stuff up.
Yeah, I was really happy too because it would be horrible to lose all that artwork and everything that you were
We
working
would have
on.
lost a lot of stuff for Feline Frontier too. Would it just
Yeah.
been Primus Star?
True. It would be a lot of stuff for Feline Frontier, but I have a lot of that stuff on my laptop already backed up. But yeah, any little bit helps though. $1, anything. Even if you don't want to donate money, even following us on Facebook or Twitter helps, and just liking and sharing all of the things.
Like spreading the word really helps too.
Yeah, I mean it's free advertisement for us, so and it gets people to actually look at our Facebook and Twitter, and then maybe those people would think, oh, you know what, I actually like what they're doing, and so I'm going to donate now too.
Or instead of donating, they'll buy it when it comes out.
That also helps, and that should be coming up, I'm hoping soon, based off of
Natalie's working hard.
she's click-clacking away
Yep.
over there.
Tip tap typing away.
Tip tap tapping away.
Yeah.
I feel like I did a good job with the enemies. Like I'm looking over at them.
I remember you had to rework them a lot.
Well, not a lot. We worked them once, and then I just made little edits here and there. But I overhauled them once, like everything, because they were horrible. Like I mentioned, I think in a podcast, or was it in an update? I think it was just an update, not a podcast, on Patreon.
I don't remember if you talked about it during a podcast.
I think you mentioned it briefly during the podcast.
Yeah, but they were basically essentially what happened was whenever I was first working on Primus Star, I just set up all the enemies and I didn't really do any algorithms for it, and I just had different numbers placed in there. It's like, oh yeah, level 1 enemy that's what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't actually like follow the stats or anything, right?
Yeah, I just was just like, yeah, this looks like a level 5 enemy, a CR5 enemy. Then whenever you would play them, they would either be way too easy, where it's like, all right, yeah, they're dead, or way too difficult, where it's like, all right, if they go first, you're dead. So I edited it now to where it has an actual algorithm and it follows a level up chart. And it usually just, well, I guess everything for the enemies just go off of an average chart. So depending on what stats they have, the rolls to level up themselves, it's all averaged. Instead of with players, they can either get below average or above average or just average themselves. So it's, I guess, more versatile is the word. I don't know.
I guess. Yeah.
It works better than, just throwing numbers at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
Because that was horrible.
More balanced.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is a lot more balanced now. I know that we need to play again is one thing. I would like to, even though the game's already finished and I'm not going to edit anything else, I've already stated this to Natalie that I don't want to edit anything else unless it's a very, very small edit, like changing Spiok to speech, which we already did that today. Or changing a few things that are misspelled, but I don't want to make huge edits where it changes the entire fabric of the game.
Yeah.
Because then it just delayed it.
Yeah, it will just delay everything, and we don't need any more delays because the lawyer, he hounded me a little bit, and I need to get that released so that he can actually put all the documentation into the government, and they can be all like, okay, then, yeah, you're actually doing things now.
And looking at all the enemies Natalie's working on, I'm just kind of like, I didn't get to draw that many enemies, and it's kind of sad because there's so many enemies, and I'm just like,
I mean, before it was gonna be basically all the enemies. You're gonna have to draw all of them, and that's
yeah, it would have been too much.
That's where another artist would have come in handy.
Yeah,
Maybe not even another artist. Maybe another like 3 artists.
Yeah. Maybe one day we'll come out with like the bestiary with all of the pictures for the enemies.
Yeah, that would be pretty good. I would like that.
Because there's only a few pictures, which is really sad. But I guess it leaves a lot to the imagination.
Yeah. In the past, there was gonna be basically gonna be every page had
a picture.
Yeah, had a picture, and that was gonna be way too much work for you.
Yeah.
I know that because I remember some days you were stressing like horribly.
Yeah.
And I had to sit there and
he had to go throughout the art and get rid of the stuff or something.
Yeah, every single time Megan would come to me stressed, I would have to delete something new, and a little part of me died.
It was really stressful though.
Yeah.
I think that the book is gonna look good though. Like just because we cut back on the art doesn't mean that we.
Yeah, because I think what would happen is if we didn't cut back on the art, then the quality would have gone down a lot.
Yeah, it would have not looked as good as it does now.
It was either quality over quantity, I guess, at that point. If we had more people, then the quality would have stayed the same and the quantity would have gone up. But,
Yeah, and I think
as a first project, we did well on it.
Yeah. Especially judging on how long it was going to take us. I mean, I was 2 months off of my judgment of how long it was going to take us. So I think that's a pretty good judgment on a project like this, especially if it's your first one.
Yeah.
But how it also looks is, I think, excellent for a first project.
Yeah.
And I have to
it looks professional and
I have
everything.
to say that Natalie is most likely one of the bigger ones that made it look this good.
Yeah, because if it was just me and Jonathan, then Jonathan's book editing skills.
Yeah, I'm not a graphic designer. I'm a
Again-
game designer.
Again, we'll post that one, like the previous version of the book,
we'll do that.
or like the few chapters or whatever, and people will be able to see what it used to look like.
I will say it didn't look horrible, but it also didn't look good.
Yeah.
Yeah, not as good as it does now. But if it was just me and Megan, it would.
The art would have just been thrown in there, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Megan's art was gonna be the only thing that was actually good in there. But, at least we got Natalie on.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't even remember how exactly we got Natalie on.
I looked at your book and had the urge to redo it.
Okay then.
She saw how terrible it was and like, this needs to be fixed.
I can make you better. We can rebuild him.
Thanks, Natalie.
No problem.
Gosh. There's so many enemies. Oh,
There's so
CR25.
many.
Well, I mean, that's... Technically, you would have 5 more CRs, and then 2 more after that, so 7 CR left. So you're almost there. But then after that, it's the space stuff.
I'm holding back a cough. I don't want to cough into the mic.
Just turn your head and cough. It's fine. You're getting over your sick. Don't cough like that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, this podcast, like, I kind of mentioned it. We don't really have that much to talk about because Primus Star is already pretty much done, and Feline Frontier is coming up, but I didn't really want to talk about Feline Frontier that much in this podcast. I want to wait until we actually have an entire podcast dedicated to Feline Frontier.
Yeah.
So the podcast is kind of getting off kilter. You could probably tell by us just talking about random things, and then
Constantly talking about the enemies because Natalie's working on them, and we can see that she's working on them.
and there's a lot of them. I don't. How many pages is it so far for just enemies?
Oh, for just enemies? Hold on. Starting at 1.
40 pages. Wow.
40 pages of enemies. Okay then. Oh, I will say as well, with working on Primus Star and looking at other tabletop RPGs, I really like how Primus Star is done, because instead of you having to buy 3 books in order to run the game properly,
You just have to get one.
you just have to get one and you have everything there. You have your enemies, you have your character creation, and you have the rules for dungeon masters. Well, technically game masters.
Yeah.
So you have everything in one book for basically the price of one of the books that you would need for the set of 3.
Yeah.
So I think it's excellent. In fact, I don't even think it's as expensive as one of the books for the set of 3 and other.
I don't remember what a price we agreed on.
I think it was less than.
I think we're still talking about the price too.
It's still we're still talking about the price and everything, but I think that we came to a kind of agreement.
That it was going to be less than.
Yeah.
But it's only going to be PDF though. You might
Yeah.
talk about that.
The PDF. It's. Yeah.
Yeah, in the beginning, we're just going to be selling PDFs instead of selling a PDF and a hard copy.
And we know a lot of people would probably want a hard copy of the book because it's just sometimes it's easier to just have a book and look through it really quick than to bring up your whole laptop. Even though on the laptop you just like search for the page.
Yeah.
But
If it gets popular, we could put out a book, like a hard copy. But right now, it's the beginning, you know.
Yeah, I know that for the person that won the exclusive copy,
that one's gonna
this
be a
month.
hard copy.
Yeah, well, this year, that's gonna be a hard copy, and that was Herschel Moore III, Lord Herschel Moore III. He asked me specifically to call him Lord because he technically owns land in Scotland, I believe it was. He's a dork.
He is a dork. I've seen his PlayStation name.
Enough about him. Though he is donating $55, so that's pretty nice. And his $100 donation that he was doing before helped us out whenever Megan's laptop went kablooey.
I knew you were gonna say that.
You knew that I was gonna say kablooey?
Yeah, well, when you say went, I mean,
Yeah.
what else were you gonna say?
I don't know. I could say kaput.
I guess.
I guess we could talk a little bit about what we could talk about for Feline Frontier for next podcast.
Oh yeah, that's right. We're gonna put up a poll about what we should talk about, kind of like how we did in the beginning with Primus Star.
Yeah, we stopped doing that for Primus Star though because it got to the point where
Like
it was basically just going to be the next subject
Yeah.
anyways, so there was no point setting up a poll because it was like, all right, here's the poll, one subject that we could talk about, vote on it, what do you want to talk about? It was just going to be that one subject anyways. So but for Feline Frontier, we were before the podcast discussing what we could talk about, and we came up with the idea of story, inspiration,
art, and production.
Yeah,
there we go.
There we go. I was thinking like, come on, Megan, you can remember 2 of them. But yeah, we're gonna talk about story, inspiration, art, and production, or production, because we're gonna be setting up a poll for you guys, and you're gonna be voting on which one we want to talk about. The next poll is gonna be the 3 ones that you didn't talk about that time, and so on and so forth, just like with Primus Star, what we
Yeah.
had.
And eventually we won't even put up a poll anymore.
Yep, and we'll just talk about the next subject.
Yeah.
And hopefully, Feline Frontier will not take that long.
Yeah.
Because, we've been saying, it's already been worked on a whole lot.
Yeah.
And we basically have all of the art almost done.
I think there was one enemy I didn't completely finish. And then I'm redoing the backgrounds because you did them, and I was like, I can make these backgrounds better.
Yeah, they're not that good. Again, no surprise, they look horrible.
I'm not gonna like the blocks you did though were pretty good,
Yeah, the blocks are fine.
but like the background part,
No,
I'm
it's
redoing
it's
that.
too much art.
Yeah,
I can do blocks because they're all, small and everything.
and then we have to do like UI, all the special effects, like the gun blasting stuff.
I worked on sound design.
Oh yeah,
That was
Jonathan
the
worked
first
on-
time I worked on sound design, and that was interesting.
Yeah.
Some sounds sound like exactly the same, but they're not going to be in the same place. So hopefully it's going to work out. We'll test them out.
Yeah, and then it's animations, and I feel like that will probably be it for the art department. It's like sound. Are we doing cutscenes for that game?
Yes, there are cutscenes.
Okay,
in this
then
game.
there's cutscenes we'll have to work on.
There's a few cutscenes in this game. Okay, then there we go. I was thinking, like, did the computer just
No.
die? Okay, then I'm glad. That would have been terrible if the computer died.
Yeah, I would have been sad.
There are a few cutscenes in this game. There is the opening cutscene. Then there is the technically, I guess, a cutscene for each ending. And there are 3 different endings, I believe.
Yeah, I think you told me about that.
Yeah, I think there's 3 different endings. Oh, no. Technically 4 different endings.
Oh, okay.
Because there's one ending where you completely fail. You don't even...
You don't want to talk about the endings here.
I'm
Come
sorry.
on, Jonathan.
I know.
That'll be like for the different...
The story.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
besides, do you really want to discuss all the endings? This is going to be like spoiler stuff.
Yeah, true. I'm not going to discuss the endings.
There you go.
Good catch there, Megan. Thanks for
That's
that.
just spoil the game and be like, all right, I don't need to buy this anymore. I know how it ends.
Well, I mean, you still want to play through it. It would be interesting. It's an interesting concept for a game.
Yeah.
Though I'm pretty sure the idea has been done before. I don't know. I haven't really looked at
I'm
that.
pretty sure
The time limit thing throughout the entire game.
I mean, Pikmin.
True, the first Pikmin. Yeah, I guess. All right. You're right.
You should probably wrap this podcast up now.
Yeah, it's starting to get to the point where we should. Like we said, it's going to be a short podcast today. It's basically going to be half, and we're already reached that point. So I have been Jonathan Moore, the lead game designer.
I'm Megan Slade, the lead artist.
Again, sorry about how this podcast was kind of off-kilter everywhere, just talking about every little thing.
Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate the support.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Natalie. And we will see you guys next month. And remember, the podcast is now being released publicly after a month we have already done. What? Yeah, it's that one. So we'll see you next month.